This is another WebAssign problem. This time it's an inclined plane with friction. So we have a 62 kilogram person on skis going down a hill sloped at 30 degrees from the horizontal. The coefficient of friction between the skis and the snow is 0.10. What would be the magnitude of the acceleration? So our first step, pardon me, is to draw the incline. We have an angle of 30 degrees this time. Of course, my person looks like a box, of course. And we know the mass is 62 kilograms, and we know the coefficient of friction is 0.10. Now, we need to know the weight of our person, so Fg is equal to mg. Fg is the force straight down to the ground. So, our 62 kilograms times 9.8 meters per second squared, and our weight is 607.6. 607. One more time. 607.6 newtons. Now, perpendicular to the incline, I have my y component, which is equal in magnitude to my normal force. And my x is parallel to the incline. Remember, my right triangle is right there. That's f of x, fx. And this time we have friction. So in the backwards direction we have frictional force. Now remember, frictional force is equal to your coefficient of friction times the normal force. Now when we have an inclined plane, your frictional force is equal to your coefficient of friction times Fy, because y is perpendicular to the surface. So my next step for you is to find f of x and f of y. So f of x will be the sine of my 30 degrees. I can calculate it using the sine, and Fy I'll use cosine. So, let me get rid of that guy. Now, to find f of x, your sine of theta will equal your fx over the weight, fg. This will always be true for inclined planes. So, my f of x is equal to fg sine of theta. Using our information, our weight was 607.6 newtons times the sine of 30 degrees. And we have fx equal to 303.8 newtons. Fy for inclined planes will always be cosine of theta equals Fy over the weight. So Fy is equal to the weight times the cosine of theta. For our problem, our weight is 607.6 newtons, and we're going to multiply it by the cosine of 30 degrees. And we get a value of 526 newtons. Now remember, that's equal to our normal force. Our next step in this problem is to find our frictional force. And our frictional force is equal to the coefficient of friction times Fy. Coefficient of friction in this problem is 0.1, and Fy is equal to 526 newtons. So my frictional force is 52.6 newtons. Now, going back to the inclined plane, let's set up our summation of forces equals ma. You can see why we have fx has to subtract the frictional force will accelerate our system. So we have Fx, we have frictional force, and we have the mass. Let's go and solve that. So f of x minus the frictional force divided by the mass will give us the acceleration of our system. Fx is 303.8 newtons. The frictional force in this problem is 52.6 newtons. We're going to divide all of that by the mass, which was 62 kilograms, the mass of our skier. The skier is accelerating down the hill. That's 4.05 meters per second squared. Remember, this is just a substitution. And there you go. So hopefully this will help you work some of those problems in WebAssign.